So today's video, we're going to be talking about healing and sickness. So if you can't tell, I'm a little bit congested right now, along with most of my family. We've all just been kind of going through the sniffles and the cough and the congestion. So I'm going to share with y'all today what we do for times when our family gets sick. And it's really not that much. I'm going to share with you the 5 top things that we do. And this is pretty much it. If we needed to turn to outside sources, we will, and we have in the past. Continue or prolong, or we feel like we need outside help, but for the most part, we treat all sicknesses at home. And I share with y'all what we do in this video. Number one, the first thing that I do anytime someone gets sick is start a batch of garlic soup. I think I actually shared a video on how I make this garlic soup, but I'll show you again in this video. It's more like garlic broth, but I call it garlic soup because it's really just a broth infused with a lot of good healing herbs and a lot of garlic to help our bodies heal. Garlic is antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral. It has allicin in it, which is a great healing property of garlic. So we love garlic in our family. This is our little home, I call it a home apothecary. It's really not that full, but I keep garlic here all the time. I'm always keeping garlic stocked because we always need it when sickness hits. We cook with it all the time, but if sickness hits, I'm so glad I have that little stash there. So garlic soup, it's just, I make a double batch. It's 12 cloves of garlic, some herbs, parsley, oregano, pepper, salt, thyme. If I leave anything out, the recipe will be down below. And then 8 cups of broth. You're just gonna let all that simmer together. And then I go back with an immersion blender or a blender and blend it all up. So it's basically just a drinkable soup, a drinkable broth that tastes really delicious. The flavors of that broth give it a delicious flavor. Make sure not to add too much pepper because I accidentally did add too much pepper to this last batch and my family was like, whoa, this is hot. But our noses were pouring, our sinuses were clearing up really quickly after drinking that broth. Garlic soup is number one. I make that. The first person affected with the sickness will start drinking it along with the rest of the family. We're all just trying to be proactive. And sometimes we avoid other people getting sick. This time it's run through us all. But it is great just to keep you feeling good and keep your body fighting off the sickness. The second one, again, has to do with garlic, and that is fermented garlic or just raw garlic. Again, we already told you how wonderful garlic is for healing sicknesses. You can take garlic capsules, but I find that the raw garlic is more beneficial, or the fermented garlic for my children, because it is in the raw state form that it came. So to make fermented garlic, I just mix water, filtered water, salt, and cloves of garlic in a jar. I let it sit out on the counter. I'll leave the exact ratios for that down below. I let it sit out on the counter for 3 to 6 weeks. The longer, the better. I like it. I like it very fermented. It gives it a better flavor. Children actually really love fermented garlic. I usually cut it into smaller pieces and let them kind of take it like capsules. Although one of my children absolutely loves just to eat it almost like fruit. She just downs it and she just loves it. But the other two will kind of cut it into smaller pieces, put it in their mouth, and I've taught them to swallow capsules. So they put the little piece of raw garlic in their mouth, fermented garlic in their mouth, drink some water, head down, and it helps them learn to swallow pills or capsules or fermented garlic. My husband and I will usually just do raw garlic straight, cut open off the bulb. So when you are taking garlic, it is beneficial to chop it up and let it sit out for about 10 minutes to let the maximum properties of the allicin release. After that, they'll slowly start diminishing, and so 10 minutes is around the best time. So I'll just cut up a little clove of garlic, let it sit out a minute, and then go ahead and swallow it, drink it, chew it, chase it with some water. Very beneficial. My kids have not taken the straight raw garlic yet because it is a little more pungent that way, but the fermented garlic is a great option for children. So we have the garlic soup, we have the garlic cloves, the raw garlic, the fermented garlic. Next we'll talk about fire cider. Number 3 is fire cider. Now this is one that our family again loves. For the first year I made this, which was about 3 or 4 years ago now, I think. I made it like late summer into the fall, so we have it going into the fall and winter, and every year I've actually done that since, except this year we obviously didn't go through as much of it last year, the fire cider, so we had a big batch of it left. This year we had about a quart left, and I was like, oh well, that'll get us through the fall and the winter months. We've been hitting it pretty heavy, obviously, because we are down to the last sips, and I've got to get some more made. So I'm going to the store tomorrow to get the ingredients to start another batch of fire cider, but it does take about 4 to 6 weeks to sit, so I need to get that going as soon as possible. The fire cider is very beneficial as well. It's just an apple cider vinegar drink mixed with a lot of healing herbs, ginger, turmeric, more garlic, horseradish, turmeric. Trying to think of everything, but again, I'll have a recipe down below for you guys if you want to make some. You can buy it. There's some places you can buy it already made, but it's actually very easy to make and delicious. And then once it's sat in that apple cider vinegar for several weeks, you can add some, you can strain it and add honey to kind of sweeten the flavor a little bit. But my kids love it. They still ask for it, and I really feel bad I didn't keep it stocked this year, so I've got to get some more made for us because it is also very healing to the body, very good to fight off sickness, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, with all those properties of those really healing herbs. Number 4, this is where I'm going to show you all my little cabinet again, is going to be herbal tinctures, oxymels, and just herbal tea. So I don't keep my actual teas in here, but I do keep some of our tinctures in here. So my teas are in our other hutch. I just didn't have room for them in here. Herbal remedies, herbal healing is just using herbs to help heal the body. There's certain herbs that are beneficial for certain healing properties. So like right here, I have this one. This one's actually pretty popular, a honey balm. This is great for soothing coughs, for soothing congestion. It is just turmeric, ginger, garlic, honey, and pepper. Mix it about half full with honey and then add all of those other ingredients in there. So here's an herbal one I wanted to show you. This is an echinacea oxymel. Echinacea is really good for boosting your immune system. So this is actually really beneficial to take prior to getting sick. You can take it when you're sick, and it's actually really delicious. An oxymel is made with apple cider vinegar and honey, so it's not as strong as a tincture. So there are echinacea tinctures. I actually have one of those here. This is the echinacea tincture. You do not want to put tinctures directly onto your tongue. You want to mix them with water because they are very pungent and stout. Some of these are alcohol based. I can't remember, this one may not be because I did order this one. You can make it. Yes, this one is 47 to 57% alcohol, but it is like diluted. Anytime you make a tincture, you are going to be using alcohol. But an oxymel, however, what I was getting at, little cough too. The oxymel is a lot more flavorful for children. They love the taste of this. It's kind of sour, but also sweet and really good for healing properties. It's an immunity boost. Echinacea is a great herb. It's what I want to eventually add to our little kitchen garden right outside my window if we ever get to that part of our homestead. But echinacea, really good one. Also have this cough ease. This is made with honey and some beneficial herbs. This is like a cough syrup. My kids call it cough syrup, but it's actually called cough ease. I think I actually shared where I get a lot of these recipes in a previous video going into the fall. But I actually keep all my recipe books here. But this is my little sickness binder, and I just keep a reference of all of the things that are healing. And this lady right here, Jess Bergson, she has an Instagram account. It's called, what is it called? JKV Journal right here. And she shares all of this information for free. You can subscribe to, she is an herbalist, a very, very well-informed, well-educated herbalist. She shares all of her recipes for free. So I printed a lot of her recipes and I keep them in my binder for a quick reference. So the honey balm, I got the recipe from her. I cannot recommend her page enough. I have several of her recipes in here, and I just have some general things I've learned over the 5 years of being a mom for helping with sickness, helping with stomach viruses, things like that. Is in my little green sickness binder, and I just keep it right here in the other recipes, but also in our little herbal cabinet. So what else do we have in here that's herbal? Like I said, all my herbs are actually in my other hutch because I use them for teas and they don't really all fit in here. This is more or less just the pre-made tinctures, the oxymels, the other things. These things up here are for stomach problems. Anytime we have upset stomach, we use bentonite clay, colloidal silver, activated charcoal. This is just some more tinctures. We have nettle, oil of oregano. That's also really great for fighting off sicknesses. Okay, and then lastly, I wanted to talk about number 5, fevers. So fevers are oftentimes very nerve-wracking for parents, and I understand. When I had my first child and he had his first fever, I was a nervous wreck. But I've come to realize that fevers are so beneficial. We all know fevers are helpful, but it doesn't always soothe the fear of when our child gets a fever. So we really just let fevers be. We give them warm baths. I do some detox baths for my kids, just really letting the fever fight its course, fight off the sickness. The less I intervene with a fever, the quicker my children always heal. When we intervene and we try to lower or suppress the fever, that's when the sickness is prolonged. But one tip I have for when fever does get pretty high. Now we actually don't check fevers. I just feel their head and just kind of feel their temperature and just kind of gauge it that way, because I honestly would rather not know the temperature of their fever and just trust my motherly intuition. So one supplement that we love for fevers is calcium lactate. Now this is not a fever suppressant. This is more so going to aid your body in fighting the fever. So a fever, like we already said, is helping fight off the sickness, the bacteria, whatever your body is working with. When we have a fever, our body is pulling calcium from our bones to help fight the fever. That's why often you get that achy joint achy feeling when you have a fever. Calcium lactate will help replenish that calcium in your bones and also help the fever fight. So you're not reducing the fever. It might reduce it just a little bit because you're giving it extra support with the calcium, but it's more or less going to ease the fever symptoms, the achiness, the tiredness, all the symptoms that come with the fever, and your body can still use the fever to fight off the sickness. So our naturopath practitioner told us about this back when my first son was like 2. Took him to her for his first sickness. She told us about it. We've used it ever since. We have a little travel pack of it that I take anytime we go anywhere. I take the calcium lactate. I also take activated charcoal. Just 2 of the things. If anybody gets a stomach bug, I want activated charcoal. If anybody gets a fever, I want to have the calcium lactate. So this is like our Ziploc bag of on-the-go sickness stuff that I just keep here to grab quickly if we're going somewhere for a trip or overnight anywhere. So that's my tip for fevers. Let them be, let them run their course. Just use your motherly intuition. Most of the time you can tell if the fever is getting out of hand, if your child becomes lethargic, if they become dehydrated, if they're not peeing, they're not staying hydrated in that way. That's when you might need to seek outside sources and take them to an outside care provider. But for the most part, fevers, we let them do their thing. We aid our children's body with the calcium lactate, detox baths, lots of cuddles and things like that, and let them get a lot of rest. So that's pretty much all we do for sicknesses. Now for babies, they cannot take the herbal tinctures, they cannot take the honey balm and things like that. So if the baby becomes sick and I am not sick, I'm still going to start doing all of these things so that baby can get that through my breast milk. Now in the past, when we've had sickness with our other children, usually our youngest baby, if they're breastfeeding, does not get sick because of that wonderful power of breast milk. Breast milk creates antibodies to fight off whatever sickness your baby might be coming in contact with. But with this little one, I did have to wean him. He is sleepy. He's starting to sing himself to sleep. Little one, I did have to wean him for my surgery a couple months ago, so he was not on breast milk for a little while. We are relactating now, and I'm getting some breast milk back, but it just hasn't been enough yet to completely keep him well. But I am still taking all of these things. Before I got sick, I was taking all of these things so he would get them through my breast milk, and it really is amazing if you are strictly breastfeeding how often your youngest breastfed baby will not even get sick when the rest of the house gets sick because of the power of breast milk. He's so tired. This is how he sings himself to sleep. He curls up on my shoulder and starts humming himself to sleep. So hope this was helpful to know what we do for sickness. I will leave recipes, links for anything I talked about down below if you want to make some of these tinctures, oxymels. For the most part, our body doesn't actually need any help healing if we are treating it right on the forefront, if we've been feeding it well, whole foods, real foods, not processed foods, and staying minerally hydrated. So these things are not necessary to do, and sometimes I don't even do any of these, and my children or myself and my husband just get well within a day or so. But if things are prolonging, this is when I start implementing a lot of this a lot more. The garlic soup is the #1 thing anytime anyone gets sick, but the rest of these are just add in as needed. Again, if you are treating your body well in the forefront, there's not much you need to do for a sickness. It will kind of just take care of itself. These are just some things that can aid in the symptoms of sickness to help you feel a little better, a little faster, and just help your body fight a little bit faster. But again, our bodies are so smart. They really don't need that much. All of these things I've shared with y'all are whole food, real food based ingredients or herbal ingredients from the earth, so they're not anything artificial. Our bodies know what to do with them. They know how to use them to help themselves heal. So I hope you got some encouragement from this video for sickness that might hit your family. Hopefully you are well and had a wonderful holiday season and no one in your home is sick. But if they are or they become sick soon, hopefully you can find some tips from this video to help you out. I will leave recipes and links for you down below for everything I've talked about. I'm going to get this little guy to sleep, and I will talk to y'all in my next video.